Hey, it's Saturday, March 14th. Okay, so I was watching yesterday's Minnesota Senate Committee on Judiciary and Public Safety. So this is going to be an exciting video. As the Senate versions of the two firearms bill that I had previously talked about, which are semi-auto assault weapons bans and magazines that hold more than 10 rounds bans, were being introduced into the Senate, and there was some testimony to go along with those. One exchange that caught my attention, however, wasn't related to those bills, but rather one that was introduced later, SF 3561, which seeks to add to existing requirements that peace officers, which is the formal designation for police officers here in Minnesota, report whether whenever a firearm is discharged outside of either a firing range, with the exception of shooting an animal. The addition to this law was proposed to require that more information be included in those reports, including the make and model of the firearm and any modifications or add-ons that had been added to the firearm, such as laser sights, optics, or flashlights. Senator Jeff Howe, Republican from Rockville, introduced the bill, and Senator Warren Limmer, another Republican from Maple Grove, was pushing back, saying that equipment is standardized and he couldn't really see a need for it. This one is actually really timely to something that happened to a friend who I was shooting targets with yesterday. He had just bought a feature-packed competition pistol and was really excited to test shoot some rounds through it. It shot really well, but he did experience at least a couple of failures, both to feed and eject, in putting about 200 rounds through it. And that's not common for a brand new weapon. That is something that you would not expect until you've got some wear or some gunk built up in the gun. And I could see it gnawing at him on the way home as a person who just spent a few $100 on a new fancy pistol. He was not satisfied with the fact that it was causing some problems. So sure enough, after I went home to go take a nap, he headed out to yet another range to try to figure out what was going on. He reported later that he had solved it. He had a magwell installed in the pistol that wasn't seated fully, causing occasional failures when it wouldn't have happened otherwise. When it caused those failures, what happens in a failure to feed or a failure to eject? Normally when you fire a pistol, the casing of the bullet goes out of an ejector port. But what happens when you try to chamber a round, if it fails to feed, that round can get stuck in the ejector port, so it doesn't go into the barrel properly and thus can't be fired. You can also see when you have a failure to eject, the shell casing, instead of flying out of the pistol like it's supposed to, gets stuck in that little window as well. So I didn't even know until yesterday what a magwell was. I'm pretty firm in my gun preference for steel and wood and don't have a need to accessorize everything. But it is a fairly common modification in competitive shooting environments, which are a popular pastime among some gun hobbyists. Basically, it's a modification that looks like this. It adds a little flared base to the bottom of a semi-automatic pistol to ease the movement of a magazine into the pistol. Think a funnel for a magazine that's supposed to just sit flush with the bottom of your hand grip. It's primarily meant to allow you to more reliably and quickly reload by feel, which is often a part of these competitive pistol shooting environments. Senator Jeff Howe did not have this life experience when his colleague asked for why he was proposing the amendment. He also didn't bring up a relevant news story where at least once during Operation Metro Surge, an ICE agent discharged his pistol in a hotel room here in Minneapolis. Now, ICE doesn't generally fit the definition of a peace officer. Peace officers in Minnesota require at least a 2-year college degree. But I do support that this law requiring more details when firearms are discharged in the line of duty. This would allow more visibility to other certain models of gun. There are certain models that have a pretty bad reputation among gun circles for the possibility for negligent discharges. And it would more practically allow us to see what types of modifications are being added to service weapons because they've become very popular in hobbyist communities. It would also allow us to correlate make, model, and types of attachments to these sorts of negligent discharges, which are worth preventing.